One more quick video for you guys. About a week ago, I showed you a little video here on kickstarting these trees that are in pots and that are going to have to be in pots for a while before they get planted. Some for another couple weeks they'll be in the ground, and some for maybe another couple months. And I had just seeded them, and they were just starting to sprout up. And I want you to see what this seed mix that I used looks like. Hey, Dana, when it comes in, the little hairy looking fern-like leaves there are vetch. There's also daikon there and a lot of other things. I'm not really seeing a lot of the clovers yet. They take a little longer, but there's some clover coming up down below there, and it's definitely different types of clover. But you can see how this will really help when we plant these trees, kickstart things, get things off in the right direction. Looks like we missed one there. How'd we do that? That's all right. I'll take care of that today and get it caught up. But I wanted to show you that, and then I wanted to show you something else. Hey, Dana. Well, you're learning to love again, aren't you, huh? Or for the first time, really. We were a little feral cat just a month ago. I was talking about how things go from, life to death cycles, and how with restoration agriculture, we can basically renew Earth. We can resurrect things that have been damaged to the point where it looks like almost worthless land. Well, we've been working on that for a few years here now with these swale-based systems over on this east side of my property. And there's something here that if you just showed up here right now, you wouldn't realize that it's significant. Permaculture principles include observation and interaction. Only an observer of multiple seasons would understand how significant this little thing I'm about to show you is right now. And you can see it right there in front of your face. It's not just that it's green, it's what it's green with. Since we moved in, every season I've hit this with a cover crop. And maybe one or two things would pop up. That's it. The land was so bad that other than in the berms where we had disturbed the soil and added fertility and worked it, and irrigated it, and loved on it, and it still was harsh. Only there would these various different perennial legumes, etc., even grow. You throw stuff here, and it wouldn't grow. Well, 2.5 seasons of swales, and this is what's happening this year. And trust me, guys, I've been here long enough. It ain't just because it rained this year, finally. It rained in other seasons as well. The diversity in this field next year is going to be blow you away amazing. And that didn't just happen. We made that happen. It's taken 2 years, 3 years almost now, since these swales went in, of not just infiltrating water, but preventing the erosion to this land where this water was just cooking across here and pulling every bit of nutrient that was happening away. You see still bare soil there, and what that soil looks like, white. It's been building more from underneath than on top until now. The grasses that could survive were growing, and now it's changing. 570 feet of linear swale on less than 3/4 of an acre did this. 100 ducks pooping in those swales, constantly creating a nutrient cycle that was working under the ground more than over the ground, caused this. Many of you live in places where you throw down seed like this, it just grows. This wouldn't excite you. Trust me, if you lived here, what I'm about to show you right there, that would excite you. The fact that this land could not do this 3 years ago, and now it can. It's absolutely amazing what we can do with something like a ditch when we use it properly, on contour. Right system for the design. Notice I didn't put swales everywhere here. This was the piece of the property where that design element made sense. This is what happens when we give nature what it needs, and we trust it, and we give it time, and we give it patience, and we keep giving it the inputs that it needs to get on its way. We're not done. We've got a lot to do yet. But boy, things are different now. I'll show you some other things here in just a second as we get around the back side of the swale that would be equally, if you didn't observe this place, you wouldn't know how big a deal it is. That little pea tendril's growing there right now. Or that all that vetch is going to start a nitrogen cycle and produce a massive amount of forage and biomass for our system. When we put these swales in, people ask me if it was even worth it, because we were literally digging right down to the rock slab I talk about. Would it even work? And our biggest problem has been nothing would be willing to grow on the backside of the swales, and nothing would grow in the swales. We actually do want the swales to cover up at some point. This year, for the first time, we've built enough soil in the swales that at least ryegrass is beginning to grow in our swales and the backside of our swales. Sparse here and there, but vegetation. Next year, when we get the locust trees in over here, which we should have done the first season, we get some shade on that bank. We bring in a little bit of material to give it a kick and give it a summer seeding. Everything changes. You watch videos of people doing this, in the tropics, and it looks like it works so fast, and in some ways it does, but they have their own soil issues with fragility. Remember, whenever you watch a video and you see amazing things, generally you don't see this. You don't see the middle. You have to see the middle. The middle is what gives you the confidence to continue what you're doing, to continue learning, to continue working. The middle is the magic point. The middle is when it changes. The middle is when everybody that walks on the property says, oh, that's nice. And they can't see how amazing it is because they didn't see the last 3 years or 4 years or 5 years of your work. They don't know it's a pivot point. You do. And when you find yourself at these pivot points, you start to realize what's really happening in front of you. You actually have the earth healing itself, but you've been the doctor. You've put in the locust tree, like that one right there, that fixes nitrogen. You've put in the grasses. You're the one that's got it to a point where that basil plant isn't something you planted, nature planted it for you. That there's a feijoa in North Texas growing happily. A pineapple guava in North Texas. That's what this is all about, guys. That's absolutely what this is all about. The autumn olive that others call an invasive species, you use as a healing element. Carrots. Maybe I threw those carrot seeds on the ground, but if I did, they went dormant and they sat there for 2 years, because that's the last time I threw a carrot seed down. I threw some recently because I saw these, but trust me, they haven't had time to get up yet. That's either a self-reseeded carrot from 1 or 2 that survived and went to seed, or it's seed that laid on the ground for 2 years. And then it said, you know what, now's the time. Plantain. I haven't thrown plantain seed in a very long time. That's what it's about, guys. And the thing is, everybody looks up here at the trees, the good and the bad, the indifferent. The magic's in the soil, and now you're seeing the soil response. Hope you enjoyed that little walk. I know I did.